Recently, the Beijing government unilaterally granted visa-free access to travelers from 6 countries, including France, Germany, and Italy. We believe it is a move by the Chinese Communist Party, or CCP, to save the tourism industry, which is on the verge of collapse. In this episode, we take a look at the current situation of China's foreign travel industry and share the pitfalls and secrets of traveling in China, as told by a travel industry insider. According to official data released by China, the cumulative number of arrivals to China in the first half of 2023, including Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan, was only 10 million. In comparison, there were over 340 million arrivals in the first half of 2019. This means that the number of arrivals in the first half of this year is 3% of the number of arrivals in 2019. Among them, only 500,000 were foreigners, while the figure for 2019 was more than 14 million. The number of inbound tourists received by China's travel agencies in the first quarter of this year was 52,000, while the figure for the same time in 2019 was 3.7 million. Is it because the first half of this year was the low season when China had just lifted the epidemic restrictions, and the second half of the year was returning to normal? No, it's not. In July this year, China received 1.7 million arrivals, almost 1/6 of the figure for the first half of the year, of which 86,000 were foreign arrivals, also 1/6 of the figure for the first half of the year. In other words, even though July was the summer peak for international conferences and out-of-country travel, the number of foreigners coming to China didn't increase compared to the first half of the year, the so-called early stage of recovery after the epidemic. Against this background, we can understand the CCP's eagerness.
In order to further promote the high-quality development of Chinese and foreign personnel network services and high-level opening up to the outside world, China has decided to expand the scope of unilateral visa-free countries on a trial basis. Ordinary passport holders from 6 countries, namely France, Germany, Italy, Netherlands, Spain, Malaysia, do not need visas from December 1st, 2023 to November 30th, 2024. Ordinary passport holders from the above countries who come to China for business, tourism, visiting relatives and friends, and transit for no more than 15 days can enter China without a visa.
In making the announcement, a spokesman from the Chinese Foreign Ministry emphasized that it was a unilateral offer, meaning that Chinese travelers to the said countries would have to apply for visas. Before we continue, I'd like to present our sponsor for this video, Days Coffee Roasters.
If you suffer from gut issues and love coffee, try Days. Days enzyme fermented coffee is gentle on digestion, low caffeine, low acid, and delicious. With only 15% of the caffeine found in regular coffee, Days Coffee helps keep your energy up throughout the day without jitters or caffeine crashes. These coffee beans are fermented with a 50 enzyme complex before roasting and are great for those with sensitive digestion. These premium beans are grown at high elevations and fermented in a special facility in South Korea and then shipped to a local coffee shop in upstate New York for roasting. Customers always receive freshly roasted beans. Find notes of dark chocolate, caramel, and walnut in this enzyme fermented blend. Days Coffee is a great option if you have gut issues and cannot have too much acid or caffeine. Bring home your own bag of Days Coffee today. Use code China Insights to get 20% off. Scan the QR code or click the upper right link to learn more.
So far, China has only granted unconditional visa waivers to 3 countries unilaterally: Singapore, Japan, and Brunei. In July 2023, China resumed visa waivers to Singapore and Brunei, but hasn't yet done so for Japan. We can see that this time the increased number of visa-free countries include developed countries in Europe, as well as developing countries in Southeast Asia, but they don't include the Five Eyes coalition countries. There might be a long way to go before the relationship with those countries warms up again. China and the US agreed to increase the number of flights between the two countries to 24 per week by the end of October 2023, compared to 340 flights per week before the pandemic. As can be seen, the deterioration of the CCP's national relations with the US and its allies has created a feeling of distrust and caution towards the Beijing government in many Western countries, and such fear is reflected in the tourists as well. Another factor is that foreign credit cards are rarely accepted by Chinese merchants, and even cash is generally difficult to use. From street stalls to large department stores, only systems such as WeChat Pay and Alipay are accepted in China. Moreover, China isn't friendly towards individual foreign tourists. For example, Google Maps and Google Translate aren't available in China, and apps such as WhatsApp and other means of keeping in touch with friends don't work either. You can't take a picture and post it on the X platform. What's worse is that many road signs that are supposed to be English are in Pinyin, and the phonetic symbol for Chinese. For example, this sign is written using English letters. Chukou is not English but Pinyin. It means exit. These are the service center, ticket dispenser, and waiting hall. This sign means way to the airport. They probably didn't have time to replace these signboards, so white tape was used with Pinyin on it, covering over the original English signage. If going by Pinyin alone, even a Chinese person would find it difficult to read the signage accurately and quickly. In addition, Beijing doesn't recognize international driver's licenses, so foreigners can't drive in China. The timing of the Chinese Foreign Ministry's announcement of this pilot visa waiver program is a bit awkward. At present, epidemics have once again struck mainland China on a large scale, with the so-called mycoplasma pneumonia, influenza, new coronavirus, etc., all breaking out in a rapid speed. Many children's hospitals across the country are overcrowded. However, information is non-transparent in China. Plus, China's foreign propaganda is strong. Visa waivers bring convenience in terms of tourism and business travel and have appealed to certain demographics. According to the National Immigration Administration, from December 1st to 3rd, there was a continued rise in entries from the countries concerned. Nearly 18,000 travelers from these 6 countries entered China, with a daily average up by 39% from November 30th, of which nearly 7,000 of these travelers arrived based on the visa-free policy, which amounted to 39% of total travelers from these 6 countries. From these numbers, we can see how the unilateral visa-free policy is making things easier for travelers of the 6 countries. Going forward, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs will continue to adjust visa policies to create more favorable conditions and further facilitate cross-border travel. We highly appreciate this visa-free policy as it saves us a lot of time, and it also encourages our fellow Malaysians to visit China. Previously, obtaining a visa was quite troublesome, requiring more than a month of preparation. With the visa-free policy, the process is much shorter.
I read about it in the internet that it's possible without visa to get for a short time just to see the city and then come back at.
So I think that's a really welcome initiative by the Chinese government to say Germans are welcome without visa for 15 days. Unfortunately, only 15 days. I would wish that it would be even a little bit longer, because China is such a big country. If you want to see China, you need way more than 15 days. So I wish for myself and for the people and for the understanding of the people in China between the Germans and the Chinese, that there will be a lot more exchange.
This channel loves Chinese culture and people. This ancient country is fascinating, and for a long time it was known as the Land of the Divine. More than 100 years before the arrival of the Communist Party, all Chinese people from the emperor down were in awe of the divine and the heavens and earth. In the past 5,000 years, there have been more than 10 different dynasties revolving and enacting the great cycle of history. As a result, the natural landscape and historical footprint preserved on this land are profound and inspiring. In the past 30 years, after China's doors were opened and its people became well off, tourism brought in a lot of revenue. However, the CCP has systematically and purposefully destroyed traditional Chinese culture, resulting in an overall rapid decline in morality. Officials in general lack the concept of protecting cultural heritage and historical wonders. They are more concerned with fueling the economy and making money out of it. Many of those who started in the tourism industry at an early stage have made a fortune, but the path to wealth is full of traps for others. For the rest of the episode, we'll look at a woman's description of China's tourism industry.
This is kind of an insider scoop. Those in the travel industry may complain about this video, so if you see it, download it and share it with your friends. Let your friends around you see the video and then make a rational choice. Have you ever come across on Douyin or other social media something like this? Yunnan group tours, 6 days and 5 nights, luxury tours, only 399 yuan or $55 per person, or $84 or $140. Why is it so cheap? I'm going to reveal the secret to you today. Let me tell you that on the web you see a lot of anchors promoting travel products, promoting a travel card that costs only a few hundred yuan. You can sign up for a tour of Yunnan province for as little as 999 yuan or $140 with all expenses paid, like hotels. You think it's cheap, right? How much does the anchor make from this $140 package? Yep, he or she gets it all. The anchor doesn't have to pay any of the 999 yuan or whatever amount. The anchor helps send people to the travel agency that organizes the tour, and the travel agency gives the anchor 500 to 1,000 yuan back for each person. That's how profitable it is. It's like a travel agency or a company that receives a group of people. People are sent to them, and the travel agency is actually paying for it at a loss. Here is the insider scoop in the travel industry. What would you call it? It's called a gambling group.
What this lady describes is very common in China today. Look at this special tour issued by a company in 2022. A 6-day trip to 3 cities in southwest China for only $140 per person. The whole travel itinerary was arranged with virtually every detail, down to the dinner menu such as wild mushroom hot pot, casserole fish, and so on. However, there was no free lunch.
What's it called? A gambling tour group. For example, I have paid the anchor. I let the anchor on the web to publicize the tour group information. I need to organize 100 people at a time, 100 people to form a tour group and get the group to Yunnan. It looks like the boss behind the scene is losing money. For each person who joins the tour, the boss puts up 1,000 yuan or about $140 because the travel company has to book the tour for them, including hotels, flight tickets, everything, and they all cost money, don't they? For each person, the boss probably loses between $420 and $560. That's about what it costs. Well, if this group of tourists comes to Yunnan, the boss or the tour guide will take them to Yunnan to shop. What do you usually buy? Jade? All kinds of health products, silverware, latex, crafts, and so on. If they buy a lot of things, the operator of the tour will win the gamble. The operator will make a profit. For example, if a tourist spends an average 10,000 yuan, and then out of the 10,000 yuan, the boss can earn 8,000 to 9,000 yuan. After subtracting 3,000 to cover the cost, the boss will have made a profit from the tour. If this group of tourists don't buy enough stuff, if they are more frugal and if they come purely for fun, that is, they don't spend any money, then the boss will lose money. This is called a gambling tourist group. In other words, the boss of a travel agency is the tour manager, and he has initiated this tour. He sends out information on the web and says, I will give money to whoever sends me clients. If you send me a client here, I'll give you 500 to 1,000 yuan. I don't charge you a penny, but give you 500 to 1,000 yuan. Why is this kind of tour usually long? Like 6 days and 5 nights? He just wants to make sure that you stay long enough in Yunnan or in Hong Kong, and he wants to take take you to enough places to shop.
We aren't sure if foreign tourists who go on Chinese tours have had the same experience of being taken to various shopping malls or stores and being urged to spend. This proves to be the key element to Chinese tourism.
The first day is basically just for fun. So the first day offers a very good experience, making you feel that it's worth the money. You will have a very, very good time on the first day. On the second day, the tour guide will take you to go shopping, take you to stores. Let me tell you how wild it works. It's not so simple to go shopping. After you enter a store, you will see a shop guide coming out. The guide will start to introduce to the customers how nice things are, why I bring everyone here, and how impressive this product is and how popular it is. Do you want to buy some? What's the point? After the first shop is done, all the customers who have made purchases, the store will hand you a tag. The storekeeper will say, "Mr. So-and-so, please put on this tag. When you leave, let me help you carry the stuff." In fact, the purpose of you wearing the tag is to flag you down. It's to see who doesn't have a tag. The ones without a tag are the ones the shop guide will target, making you buy with all kinds of persuasion. For example, it's something like this. "Sister, have you seen anything you like? We're here already and you need to buy a little bit of something. After all, the trip is so cheap. So don't just come here and take advantage of the cheapness of the tour. Make some purchases, more or less." You see, that's how it's done.
In a previous episode, we presented stories of seniors being abandoned by their travel agents at tourist attractions. We are tourists from Henan Province to the Grand Canyon of Qingshan Lake. We were brought here by the Zhengzhou Ocean Family Travel Agency. Here, we ate poorly and are stranded for an afternoon. We asked the local public security for help. Ocean Family Travel asked the Qingshan Lake Resort not to provide us transportation. Our bus tickets have expired. We have stayed here 2 extra days. We are in this hotel named Ancient Melody of Seaside, just in this hotel. There are still rooms available, but the travel agency made a phone call. We aren't allowed to stay, so hundreds of seniors don't have a place to stay. We aren't given food. I hope the Chinese people who see this video save us. The people from Henan, save us. Save us. Save us.
We said we would rent a vehicle ourselves. The travel agency wouldn't let us go.
The police have been here all afternoon. Thank you, police. Thank you, people's government. We've been with you all afternoon, right?
But you haven't solved the problem.
In the story mentioned, a group of seniors who failed to spend enough money angered the travel agency. This lady also revealed that there was competition among stores.
Then, what's the competition between stores? Generally speaking, it depends on how much kickbacks a store can offer to a tour organizer. For example, if tourists buy jade, silverware, or healthcare products, they usually get 70 to 80%. What does that mean? That is, if this tourist spends 10,000 yuan, the store can return 8,000 yuan to the tour operator. Why? Because the tour operator has borne the cost, paying for hotels and flight tickets, in addition to all the travel expenses. It's me, the tour operator, who has brought them to your store. So there is competition between stores. If the tour manager brings the tourists over, but your shopping guide isn't good at selling, it means the tour manager can't get the kickback and make money. He'll stop bringing people to the store because he will lose money, right? The tour operator has borne so many expenses bringing this group of people here, and your store can't successfully sell, resulting in a loss of money for me. And therefore, you'll see that the merchants in those tourist spots and the tour guides are all so good at talking and selling things. If the guide can't do the job, can't make the customer spend more, then the tour guide won't be willing to bring the customers to the store. So you see, it's wild, isn't it?
Once you enter such a tour group, unfortunately, the tourists will be under a lot of pressure, being surrounded by all kinds of people.
Therefore, the tour guides will take the tour group to various shopping malls and keep on doing so. When the tour group has bought almost as much as the boss wants, the tour guide can then take the group away. Some tourists said, I have joined some tours in Yunnan and Hong Kong, but I feel that our tour was quite good. No one forced me to buy anything. I tell you, you had it lucky. Why? It means that there is a big buy in your group. For example, the tour guide takes you to a store that sells gold, which I once did in Hong Kong. I took tourists to a gold store. I had 50 customers. My bottom line was to have each one spend 2,000 yuan. For a group, it would be 100,000 yuan. The tour operator got 70,000 to 80,000 yuan kickback. Then the cost for organizing the tour was covered. The boss has to take the tourists to several stores, and this one store has more or less covered the cost. Maybe one of the customers has bought 100,000 yuan worth of stuff, and the tour guide sees that it's almost done and can leave. Then he won't force the rest of the tourists to spend. Whether you spend or not is up to you. He's happy as he has broken even at this point. This is the logic of the tour manager, to ensure that the overall cost is covered. Once the overall cost is covered and there is still a profit, then he will not force any particular customer to make a purchase. However, if the amount of goods bought by the tour members at this stop is unsatisfactory, the tour guide will bring those who haven't spent into the store first. He will follow you, urging you to spend, and this is how they do it. This is what a gambling tour group is all about.
This lady is probably an online anchor or someone like that, who organizes tours for travel agencies on the web and travels with them herself sometimes. She told a story about the early days of her business some 10 years ago.
The store owner returned 400 yuan to me for each individual, and I took out 100 yuan to make a big gift package for each guest, including sunblock clothing, sun hat, sunblock, motion sickness medication, and a whole lot of other things, all inexpensive, thoughtful, nice little gifts. I distributed them on the tour bus, telling them it was a gift from the company. When they accept your gifts, they would be easier to manage and less prone to lose their temper. Instead, they would come and talk to me if there is any problem. This is the first step. The second step is that the biggest store is a gold store. The store owner paid for the accommodation for the tour group. This is how shopping tours in Hong Kong operate. That is, Boss A is the owner of the gold store. Boss A pays for the accommodation. Boss B pays for the air tickets. Boss C pays for the boat tickets. Boss D pays for the tickets to the tourist attractions. The money is divided among them. Therefore, the owner of the gold store is the one who pays the most. The characteristic of a gold store is that its products are expensive, costing 8,000 to 9,000 yuan for a single item, and it is a big store in Hong Kong. Therefore, the owner of this store paid the most for the trip. When I arrived at the gold store, I took the lead and bought a necklace. At that time, we had a very rich lady in our group, and no one pushed her. She liked the trip, she didn't care, and bought for her daughter-in-law, and herself. She bought a lot of stuff. With the purchase she and a few others made, it was basically enough to cover the accommodation. Boss A didn't give us a hard time. Third, I myself also made efforts planning the route, because if all I did was to take people shopping, the experience would be bad. I looked for some free attractions at that time. In the past, those Hong Kong TV dramas, those sites, such as the government building this and that, they were all free. So I had the driver take us on such departure route. I did the explanation on the bus. After the tour guide finished, I did the talking. I said, see, this is the place we have specially chosen for you. This is the place where the TVB drama was filmed. And this is the place where the love affair took place. Come along, everyone. I'll take you to have a look. Everyone loved it, but it didn't cost anything. I've also thought about the risks that if people aren't happy with their purchases, then I'll give them a partial refund from my own company or return some of the merchandise. Douyin has some powerful features that can help you return goods through Douyin. This is also an industry secret.
Actually, this isn't an industry secret anymore. The real secret is what's not mentioned by the lady. Why can the store owner give such a high kickback? 80% of the 10,000 yuan transaction is returned to the tour organizer. Why is it that the store can still make a profit at such a high commission? What is the real value of the goods purchased by the tourists? Obviously, this isn't what this woman is thinking about. She is proud to be a successful entrepreneur.
Let me tell you, when it comes to entrepreneurship, there's a way to do it with money, there's a way to do it without money. You have to use your brain. As long as you're willing to think, as long as you're smart, there's nothing you can't do.